guys, this is Carrie with Fullerton Professional Organizing, and today I'm talking about slow living. Stop the urge to always feel like you have to hustle. And that can be taken many different ways. I'm not going to define what your definition of hustle is, but I will say that in this idea that we're talking about here, we're talking about in being intentional, an attitude of intentional living, slow living as a mindset of savoring and maybe cooking at home, walks outdoors, family time. It all depends on what your priorities are and what's important to you. And she suggests, and when I say she, it's Stephanie O'Day is where we're getting some of these ideas from, and then we'll go on to another YouTuber that has some ideas. But she says, family time, sit down and make a list of 4 or 5 things that are important to you. Well, for me, what was important to me was putting my husband and children, my family came first. Even when I started working full time, my family has always come first. Now, for me, that might mean not trying to become a supervisor, or not becoming a manager, or not becoming a director, but maybe, stay in a position with maybe a little less pay so that I can spend more time as a family. But you may have other priorities, and that is up to you. But some of these priorities could be family, could be home, could be creating things, could be connection, could be motherhood, childhood, faith, nature, traditional skills of some kind. But give yourself some free time. Schedule and time perception. How to spend your time. How do you want to spend your time? Grab a book instead of your phone. Now, here are 4 books that she suggests. I have not read these books, but Stephanie suggests Digital Minimalism, In Praise of Slowness, Still the Slow Home, and Simplicity Parenting. Those are her recommendations. Now, Louise Webster also has a YouTube channel, and she recommends The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. And I did buy that book on Audible, and I will probably listen to that when I'm finished with the book I'm currently reading now, because it sounded really interesting. She said, in our culture today, we have a hurry sickness, a need to hustle, no rest. And she also suggests, and if you're Catholic, this is a really great one. I've listened to it. I think he is fabulous. But Father Mike has a Bible, an Audible Bible, and it is really good. I chose a different one to read throughout the year. It's Audible Daily Bible. I forgot who it's from, but you can find lots of daily Bibles. But Mike Schmitz is this father's name. And he's very interesting to listen to. He's not boring. And he makes listening to the Bible a very happy-go-lucky experience. And so I also recommend him. But Louisa Webster says Jesus what she learned from the Ruthless Elimination of Hurry book was the author said that Jesus was not in a hurry because he just knew his Father God and what his plan was. And and an example that kind of was mind blowing to me was the example of Lazarus. He did raise Lazarus from the dead, but Mary and Martha said, hey, if you had come when we called you, he would still be here. But Jesus already knew, he can raise the dead. He didn't have to hurry. He could go about his Father's business and do what needed to be done and still raise Lazarus from the dead. So I thought that was kind of interesting to me. Eliminate you can once you're in alignment with God's will, then you kind of know what pace your life should be in. One, she says, dedicate time to God, spend time with God in prayer. She says, quiet the external noise and distractions, phone. Quiet your internal noises, your mind and your worries. She says Yahweh means breath. Breathe intentionally. For 5 seconds. Hold it for 5 seconds. And exhale for 5 seconds. And so you inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, and exhale for 5 seconds. And these are all ways to slow down and be more intentional. Be with God and pray. Be still and listen. Ask him what he is saying to you and thank him and be grateful. So those are 2 YouTubers. There are a lot of YouTubers that talk about how to live a more intentional life, how to have slow living, and how to make God part of it so you'll know when to hustle and when not to hustle. Because we're not really saying you can never hustle. Some of us are entrepreneurs, and if we didn't hustle, we wouldn't have any business. So you have to hustle. But maybe you can be more intentional by keeping your hustle in the same amount of time that you would be working if you were in a corporate job. Maybe keep it 8 hours. I'm an empty nester, so I can spend 8 hours hustling for my business. But if you have little ones at home or children, and you have to pick them up and take them to activities and stuff like that, well, and of course, you can also keep track of how many activities you want your kids to be involved in as well. I know that there are parents out there that have 3 kids, and all 3 kids have like 10 activities, and you are just going from activity to activity to activity. Now, if that's slow living to you, then that's slow living. Me, I wanted to enjoy time with my kids, not just time watching my kids. So those are my priorities. So when you're hustling for a business, you may not have as much hustle time. You may only be able to hustle in the morning and spend the whole rest of the day taking care of your kids and family and other things. So, just asking God to direct and our hustle and our slow living, and make sure, because we've talked about it in other segments, there's really no real balance. You just do the best that you can. And like we said at the beginning, listing our priorities and what's important to us, that kind of helps us. And then giving it to God and seeking God for direction and wisdom will also help us in our slower paced, more intentional living. But let me do some review from Stephanie O'Day, or just kind of review some of the things that we talked about. Get inspired. You can be inspired through her take slow action to make your wishes and your goals for your life and your family's life come true. Okay, she says, you have to figure out what those priorities are first. Set a timer to tackle tasks you dislike. 10 minutes is manageable. So whatever it is that you've been pushing off, set the timer and just go on and make it happen. What I found, she says, is regardless if you take the time to go slow, to breathe, and to trust that everything is going to be okay, as long as you are taking tiny steps towards the directions of your goals and dreams, it's all going to be okay. Just because you can do something fast, it doesn't mean you should. Even if it's trendy and everybody around you is following that path, doesn't mean it's for you. What is it that you want to do? What are your goals? What are your priorities? If you don't have a plan, you are essentially planning to fail. We've heard that a lot in our lives. Taking time to plan out and slowly make the right choices can enable you to reach your goal over time. If you accidentally fill your life with too much stuff or activities, then the people and experience that really mean the most to you don't have room to fit into your life. My priorities has been my husband and my children. So my hustle looks a little different than your hustle. Narrating your activities and giving thanks for all that you have helps you appreciate the here and now as well. Declutter your life by purging belongings, activities, and people who take up too much space in your day-to-day life that doesn't fit into your goals and your priorities. Set your metaphoric GPS. Decide on your goal. Plan the route to it and keep moving forward. Enjoy the here and now. As you travel toward your goal, focus on the all that is good in your life and all that you're grateful for. Take daily action toward your goal. Break down your work into intervals separated by breaks, such as the 10-minute tidy. Tweak your plan as needed. Make changes and fine-tune your life, making choices as you go. As you find it necessary, work to fix mistakes and don't be afraid to get help. So her 5 steps are to have a slower living and to live more intentionally is to declutter, have goals, where are you headed, and lots of gratitude for where you are and what you have, and take action on things that you need to take action on, and fine tune. It's the same with, organizing. If it's not working for you right now, then tweak it and refine it and reset it and find a system that works for you and your family. All right, guys. Thank you for listening, and I will see you on the next podcast.